Darius Nwoke had always believed life owed him more than it gave him. Even as a child, he hated being ordinary. He hated watching rich politicians' children ride expensive bicycles while he and his brother used sticks and old tires. His obsession with status didn't start recently. It was always there, quietly growing like a sickness inside him. Now, at 35, he finally felt close to the life he dreamed about. His new fiancée, Torella Briggs, came from one of the wealthiest political families in Abuja. Her father was a kingmaker, her uncle a senator, her mother owned half the oil blocks in Bayelsa. Darius felt like he struck gold. Everything he once chased, validation, power, prestige, was now within reach. But there was one ghost he hadn't buried yet, Amara, his ex-wife, the woman he once loved until he convinced himself he deserved better. In truth, she wasn't a bad wife. If anything, she loved him too much. She held the home together when he had nothing. She cooked, worked multiple jobs, supported his dreams, and still found ways to smile. But as soon as Torella appeared in his life, he began seeing Amara as a setback. He started comparing her soft-spoken humility to Torella's glamorous arrogance. One night, after a small argument, he told Amara she was pulling him down in life. 2 days later, he filed for divorce. She begged him to reconsider, cried until her eyes swelled, but Darius was blinded by ambition. He signed the papers and walked away without looking back. Now, 2 years later, preparing for his wedding to Torella, an idea sparked in his mind, a wicked idea that pleased him far too much. What if he invited Amara to the wedding? What if she saw how much better his life became without her? What if she witnessed the upgrade he made? A cool smile stretched across his face. He picked up his phone and typed, "You're invited. Come and witness what true success looks like." He added a laughing emoji at the end, satisfied with himself. His best man, Victor, saw the message and shook his head. "Darius, this is not necessary." "It is," Darius insisted. "She needs to see what she lost. She needs to know I'm doing better." "But why?" Victor asked, confused. "You already left her. You're marrying someone else. Why torture the woman?" Darius shrugged. "Closure." Victor scoffed. "This is not closure. This is wickedness." But Darius wasn't listening. For him, the wedding wouldn't be complete unless Amara showed up looking broken. The idea of her walking in with cheap clothes, shy eyes, and quiet desperation brought him a twisted sense of satisfaction. And that satisfaction fueled him more than the wedding itself. Amara Uzek sat cross-legged on the floor of a modest apartment, helping her twin boys assemble a plastic puzzle. Chimer and Chisholm were lively, talkative, and impossibly identical. They had her smile, but their eyes, those sharp, alert, restless eyes, belonged to Darius. She tried not to think about it, but every time they tilted their heads, she remembered him. She never told them who their father was. They were too young to understand, and even if they weren't, Darius had forfeited the right to be in their lives. The twins were born 4 months after the divorce was finalized. The pregnancy had been rough. The grief of losing her marriage, the pressure of working late nights, the loneliness from being abandoned, everything combined into a storm that nearly took her life. She bled heavily during childbirth and remembered begging God not to let her die. She survived, but something inside her changed forever. She moved away from Lagos to Port Harcourt where nobody knew her story. She rebuilt her life brick by brick, working at a private school and doing small catering jobs on weekends. She raised her twins with love, strength, and silence. She thought the past was buried, until her phone buzzed and Darius' name appeared. At first she thought it was a mistake. He hadn't contacted her since the divorce. But when she opened the message, her breath left her body. Her hands shook. She read the message at least 5 times. The tone, the mockery, the audacity. It felt like the universe was reopening a wound she spent 2 years healing. She wanted to ignore it, block the number, pretend the message never arrived. But the pain she thought she buried rose violently to the surface. Memories hit her like a storm. The insults, the abandonment, the night she slept hungry so he could eat, the afternoon she walked home pregnant because he took their only car to impress Torella. She swallowed hard as tears filled her eyes. Mama Rose, her aunt, walked in and immediately sensed something was wrong. Your eyes dawn red. Wetting happened. Amara handed her the phone. Mama Rose read the message and hissed so loudly the twins looked up. This boy no go ever change. After everything you suffer for him, he still get mine do this. Amara exhaled shakily. I won't go. But you WN go, Mama Rose replied. I sat by you. Amara looked down. It was true. A part of her wanted closure. Not the toxic closure Darius imagined, but real closure. The kind where she showed up not as a broken girl he left, but as the woman she had become. But another part of her feared the humiliation. Auntie, what if he only wants to laugh at me? Mama Rose held her hand. My daughter, sometimes God day pushes go back to the battlefield we run from, not to disgrace us, but to show them we survived. Amara blinked rapidly. Something in her chest shifted. The next morning was ordinary, or so Amara thought. She dressed her twins, packed their lunchboxes, and walked them to the school gate. As she bent to kiss them goodbye, she noticed a black SUV approaching. The tinted window rolled down, and she immediately recognized a face. Governor Obinna Ezenwa. Tall, charismatic, impeccably dressed even at 7 a.m., he carried a commanding presence softened by genuine warmth. Parents at the gate whispered and bowed, shocked to see the governor stop at a small private school. But Amara wasn't shocked. She knew he came for her. 2 years ago, before she gave birth, she had found the governor unconscious outside the school in the rain. She didn't know he was a public figure. She only knew a human being needed help. She carried him inside, called an ambulance, and stayed with him until he stabilized. Days later, she found out he was a sitting governor. He returned to thank her personally, and from that day forward, he supported her quietly but consistently. He paid the twin school fees anonymously. He checked on her often. He made sure she never lacked necessities. Not because he wanted anything in return, but because he believed she deserved peace after everything she endured. Amara, he said as he stepped out of the SUV, something is troubling you. She forced a smile. I'm fine, sir. He raised a brow. You can lie to anyone else, but not to me. She hesitated, then handed him her phone with the invitation. He read it slowly, his expression changing from curiosity to irritation to cold fury. He wants to disgrace you publicly, the governor said calmly. I know. Amara whispered. I don't want to go. Governor Ezenwa shook his head. You are going. She blinked. So. But you will not go alone. Tay stung her eyes. I don't want drama. Who said anything about drama? He replied. This is not drama. This is dignity. Dignity. He nodded. Amara, if you stay home and cry, he wins. If you walk into that event with your head up, you reclaim your story. She looked away. He'll still laugh at me. Not when I'm beside you. Her heart thudded. Sir, I can't go with you. People will talk. Good, he replied. Let them talk. Let them talk about the woman who survived what would have destroyed anyone else. Let them talk about the woman who raised twins alone. Let them talk about the woman who saved the governor's life. His words broke something open inside her. For the first time in years, she felt seen. She nodded slowly. Okay, she whispered. I'll go. But she wasn't the only one attending. The governor smiled at the twins playing nearby. The boys will come too. It's time their father sees what he walked away from. Amara's lungs tightened. He didn't know the full story. He didn't know the twins were Darius' children. But he would soon, and so would the world. While Amara quietly prepared for the battle ahead, Darius spent the entire week obsessing over how to make her humiliation complete. He instructed the wedding planner to place a seat somewhere behind the speakers, practically in the shadows. He wanted her invisible, insignificant. He told photographers to capture her reactions. He told bloggers a special guest from his past was attending. He even rehearsed a fake speech with Torella where he would thank his ex for teaching him what he didn't want in life. Torella found it hilarious. She laughed with her hand over her mouth, her braces glittering. Babe, I can't wait to see this girl. I want to see if she's as boring as you described, she said. Darius grinned. She will look absolutely miserable. but cracks were forming in the wedding preparations. Mama Kaoma, Darius' mother, pulled him aside several times, pleading with him to reconsider inviting Amara. "You can't build happiness on another person's pain," she warned. "Mama, this wedding is my moment," he snapped. "Let me enjoy it." "This is pride," she said firmly, "and pride always comes with consequences." Darius dismissed her warnings. He told himself that life was finally paying him back for the years he struggled. He told himself that everything was perfect, the hall, the musicians, the guest list, the expensive decorations. But the truth was that something deep inside him felt uneasy, a strange heaviness he couldn't explain, like the air before rainfall. But he shrugged it off and kept boasting. The night before the wedding, he looked at himself in the mirror and whispered, "Tomorrow will be legendary." He had no idea how right he was, but not in the way he imagined. The wedding day began with loud music, high fashion, and glamorous guests filling the massive hall decorated with orchids and gold. Camera crews hovered like flies, capturing every detail for social media. Politicians' children walked in with confidence. Influencers posed in front of the floral backdrop. Everything screamed luxury. Darius kept checking the entrance. He expected Amara to slip in quietly, head bowed, dressed in something cheap. He prepared his smirk. But 20 minutes into the ceremony, something shifted in the atmosphere. The security guard suddenly rushed outside. Guests muttered. The band paused. Then, the sound of sirens. 6 black SUVs rolled to a stop in front of the hall. Real political convoy. Confusion rippled through the crowd. Who was arriving? Is it the senator? Maybe the governor. The doors opened, and the first person to step out was Governor Ezenwa himself. Photographers nearly fell over each other trying to capture him. But then, something impossible happened. Amara stepped out beside him. Not the timid Amara Darius abandoned. This Amara looked like the woman life tried to break, but failed. Her gown was elegant. Her skin glowed. Her confidence radiated like light. The whole gasped. But the coup de grace came next. The twins stepped out. 2 little boys, impossibly handsome, dressed in matching outfits. And their faces, God, their faces. The resemblance was undeniable. The same eyes, the same jaw, the same smile. A woman screamed, "Those are Darius' children." The entire hall erupted. Cameras pivoted instantly. Bloggers began live streaming. Torella choked on her breath. Darius felt his world collapse. His chest tightened. His legs trembled. His mouth fell open. His shame was instant, total, and irreversible. He had invited Amara for drama. But what walked in was the truth. And truth did not knock softly. It entered with sirens, a governor, and 2 children who carried his face. The hall went silent as Amara, Governor Ezenwa, and the twins walked down the aisle as if the wedding was theirs. Darius tried to smile, but his lips wouldn't obey him. His chest tightened like someone was squeezing his lungs. Sweat gathered under his expensive agbada. His vision blurred as people began whispering aggressively. Is this a political stunt? Why is the governor with the groom's ex? Those boys look exactly like Darius. Chinik, the resemblance no be hero. Torella's face turned red with embarrassment. She tugged Darius' sleeve violently. What is happening? Who are those children? Darius forced a smile, but his voice cracked horribly. They're not mine. They can't be. They look like you, Darius, she snapped. People are recording us. Indeed, dozens of phones were pointed at them. Bloggers were streaming live. TikTok creators were filming. The internet was swallowing him alive. He rushed toward Amara, anger and panic swirling inside him. But as he approached, Governor Ezenwa stepped slightly in front of her. The gesture wasn't loud, yet it thundered across the hall. A protective shield, a boundary, a warning. One wrong move and your disgrace will multiply. Amara, Darius stuttered, pretending to be calm. You shouldn't have brought my children. Amara finished the sentence for him, her voice steady and strong. Why not? Darius swallowed hard. He felt the weight of the truth circling him like vultures. Those cannot be my children. We divorced before you even cared to ask how I was. Amara cut in. The guests gasped. She continued calmly. Before you signed the papers and walked away from a pregnant woman you didn't even bother to check on. The air froze. Darius felt exposed. Wide open. Vulnerable in the worst possible way. But something inside him refused to break. He forced a laugh, hoping to save face. You think anyone will believe you. But before Amara could respond, one of the twins tugged Governor Ezenwa's hand and pointed at Darius. "Mummy, that man looks like me." The hole exploded with screams. Camera shutters fired nonstop. Darius felt his entire soul leave his body. Torella was humiliated. Her wedding, the biggest event of the year, was being overshadowed by a woman she considered beneath her. And now, people online were calling her the backup plan, the second choice, the one he married because his ex upgraded. She couldn't handle it. She stormed toward Amara with fire in her eyes. You planned this. You want to ruin my wedding because you're jealous." Governor Ezenwa turned his head slowly, his expression stone cold. Torella froze mid-sentence. She suddenly remembered she was screaming at a governor's guest. The hall went silent again. Torella pressed on anyway, too angry to think. "Who do you think you are? Showing up with matching outfits, with this convoy, trying to embarrass us." Amara didn't flinch. "Your fiancé invited me." Gasps spread like wildfire. All eyes swung to Darius. Torella turned to him, trembling. "You invited her?" "It wasn't like that," he panicked. "I just wanted to show her I moved on." "By humiliating her?" Torella's voice cracked with shock. "On our wedding day." Darius reached for her hand, but she snatched it away. "You are unbelievable. So this entire time, you were obsessing over your ex?" "No, You said she was nothing. You said she was pathetic. You said I was an upgrade." Darius closed his eyes. His lies were collapsing like a building with no foundation. "She is nothing," he said desperately. "She's just pretending." The governor stepped forward. "Pretending?" His voice slid through the room like a blade. "Pretending, while you hide two children who look exactly like you." Torella staggered backward. Guest whispered loudly now. The truth was undeniable. Darius had lied. Darius had abandoned. Darius had destroyed a woman and tried to mock her. And now karma was tearing his wedding apart. Darius' attempt to salvage his dignity died when Governor Ezenwa lifted his microphone. The whole quieted instantly. A governor speaking at a wedding was breaking news. "Good afternoon," he began calmly, but there was steel behind his voice. "Before this ceremony continues, I believe the truth should be addressed." He glanced at Amara, then at the twins, then back at the crowd. "This woman standing beside me is not the weak, small person some of you think she is. 2 years ago, she saved my life." The crowd gasped. Bloggers zoomed in. I collapsed outside her workplace. She didn't know who I was. She didn't record it for likes. She didn't ask for anything. She simply helped. And she stayed with me until I recovered. People murmured with emotion. Torella looked confused. "Why? Why did she help you?" "Because she is good," the governor said firmly. "Far better than the man who threw her away." Darius' legs became rubber. Governor Ezenwa continued. "I have watched her raise these twins with grace. Alone. Quietly. Without begging their father for a single naira." All eyes turned to Darius again. His face was burning. Someone whispered loudly, "So she didn't even ask him for child support? And he still wanted to disgrace her." Another said, "This man wicked oh." The governor wasn't done. Amara didn't come here for drama. She came here because someone who once shared her home invited her to witness his joy. She came peacefully, with dignity, and with children who deserve the truth. At those words, the twins stepped closer to Amara, each grabbing a side of her gown. The image broke the internet. Darius collapsed into a chair, breathing fast. His world was falling apart. People were demanding answers now. Dozens of guests surrounded Darius. "Are the twins yours? Why did you abandon their mother? Did you cheat on her? Is this why you divorced her?" Darius' mind was spinning uncontrollably. His throat tightened. I don't know," he stuttered. Torella screamed. "You don't know? How can you not know if you have children? Darius opened his mouth to defend himself, but something horrifying happened. One of the twins walked up to him innocently and stood directly in front of him, looking up with the same eyes and same confident smirk Darius used to have when he was younger. Gasps, cries, shouting, Jisu, Holy Ghost, Omo, N.A. copy and paste. Someone shouted, DNA test now. The whole erupted in agreement. Even the band dropped their instruments. Governor Eisenhower didn't say a word, but he didn't need to. His calm silence was more dangerous than shouting. Torella pointed at Darius, shaking violently. We are not continuing this wedding until we know if you have secret children with your ex-wife. Darius started sweating uncontrollably. A DNA test can't be done now, he cried. It takes time. Lie, someone yelled. Blood can be tested immediately. Another screamed, let the governor's medical team handle it. And that was when the governor subtly signaled his aide. A medical team walked in. Darius nearly fainted. His carefully crafted wedding had become a public DNA scandal. While the whole erupted in chaos, Amara stood still, calm, her silence louder than any insult she could throw. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She didn't defend herself. She simply held her children's hands and waited. That power, the power of calm truth, destroyed Darius more than anger ever could. The medical team approached her politely. Madam, with your permission, we can do a quick confirmatory test. She nodded once. No emotion, no fear. Darius felt his spirit leave his body. The twins extended their tiny arms confidently. They weren't afraid. They had been raised with love, with security, with presence. Darius watched them, and something inside him cracked violently. They looked like him. They were him. He knew it now. Deep down, the medical team collected samples. While they worked, Amara finally spoke, but not to Darius. She kneeled to her twins. Are you tired, my loves? No, Mummy, they said in unison, leaning into her. The whole melted. People began crying. Guests who came to celebrate Torella were now recording videos praising Amara. Darius tried to approach her. Amara, please, can we talk? She looked at him with the coldest, most unfamiliar eyes he had ever seen. There is nothing to talk about. The sentence destroyed him. He felt small, invisible, like the roles had reversed, and she walked away from him this time. The doctor walked onto the stage moments later, holding the preliminary results. The entire hall held its breath. Cameras zoomed in. Everyone froze. The result would change everything. And Darius knew. The truth he tried to bury was finally standing tall. The hall was silent. Silent in a way that only truth could silence a crowd. The doctor stood on the stage holding the paper that would either bury Darius or miraculously save him. Torella clung to her father's arm, shaking. Bloggers whispered to their cameras. Influencers leaned forward dramatically. Darius gripped the back of a chair to stop himself from collapsing. Amara stood firm with her children holding her gown like little kings. Governor Eisenhower folded his arms, watching with a calm that frightened even the bravest men. The doctor cleared his throat. Based on the rapid DNA analysis conducted, he paused. The whole collectively exhaled, impatient. The results show. Another pause. Darius' heartbeat was so loud he thought everyone could hear it. There's a 99.7% probability that Mr. Darius Nwoke is a biological father of the twin boys standing before you. Screams, gasps, chaos. The whole erupted like a volcano. Torella screamed and fell backward. Her mother rushed to catch her. Bloggers stampeded to get closer. The band dropped their instruments. Women shouted, "Blood of Jesus." Darius, you get shame at all. The truth hit Darius like a dagger. His breath caught in his throat. His knees buckled. He fell to the floor, hands shaking uncontrollably. He had been exposed. Live, unfiltered, unforgiving. Torella's father pointed at him with pure disgust. You told us you had no children. You lied to my daughter. You lied to all of U.S. The governor turned slightly to protect Amara and the twin from the chaos. Darius crawled toward the stage, eyes wild with panic. Amara, please, please forgive me. She didn't move, didn't blink, didn't offer him a shred of comfort. The whole watched the shift. The man who once held all the power was now powerless before the woman he abandoned. "I didn't know you were pregnant," he choked. "You left without looking back," she replied, her voice calm but sharp. "You didn't want to know." Torella regained consciousness but immediately exploded in hysterics. "You cheated on me with her? You have children with her? And you invited her here to disgrace her? Me? You made me mock the mother of your children." She sobbed loudly, clutching her chest. Her father shouted over her cries, "The wedding is cancelled." Guests clapped. They actually clapped. Darius looked around, dazed, as if the world was melting. His embarrassment was no longer private. It was public, televised, immortalized online. "You humiliated my daughter." Senator Briggs thundered. "You made her look like a fool in front of the entire nation." Darius stammered. "Sir, this was before." "Before what?" "Before you lied to our family. Before you abandoned your pregnant wife. Before you dragged your ex into drama to make yourself feel superior." Torella's mother stepped forward and slapped Darius so hard the hall echoed. "My daughter will not marry a man who treats women like dirt." The crowd roared in agreement. Darius' humiliation was complete, but it wasn't over. Senator Briggs stormed toward Amara. The whole tensed. Was he going to insult her too? Instead, he bowed slightly. "My apologies on behalf of the Briggs family. You did not deserve this." The whole gasped. Amara blinked in surprise. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "Your dignity is remarkable," he said, "far above the man you married." Darius felt the words like a knife to the stomach. His entire world, his new family, his status, his pride, collapsed at once. As guests began taking pictures with Amara and ignoring the ruined wedding decor, Darius dragged himself across the stage toward her. His mother tried to stop him, wiping tears from her face. "Leave that woman alone. Darius, haven't you done enough?" But he shook her off like a drowning man fighting for air. He knelt in front of Amara, his voice breaking. "Amara, please. I was stupid. I was blind. I didn't know they were mine. I didn't know you needed me. I didn't know you were suffering." She looked down at him, her expression unreadable. "You didn't want to know," she repeated calmly. "You walked away before I could speak. You gave your attention to someone else while your own children grew inside me." He sobbed, real, painful sobs. "Please, please let me fix it." She almost laughed, not out of humor, but disbelief. "Fix it?" she asked softly. "You planned to humiliate me today. You invited me to hurt me. And now you want forgiveness because the truth embarrassed you." Darius grabbed the twins' hands, crying harder. "My sons, my boys, I didn't know." Chima pulled his hand away. "Mummy said we don't talk to strangers." Gasps! Darius broke completely. His heart shattered. He felt the weight of every mistake he ever made. "Amara, I beg you, give me a chance to be in their lives. I am their father." Her eyes hardened. "You lost that right the day you abandoned their mother." Tears poured down his face as Amara stepped back. Governor Ezen would place a protective hand on her shoulder. Darius looked like he might faint. The message was clear. Amara had moved on, and she had powerful people standing beside her now. People who valued her. People who wouldn't let him near her again. In the middle of the chaos, Governor Ezen was stepped forward with his microphone. His voice was calm, but the calmness carried danger. "I think we have all witnessed enough," he began. This was supposed to be a wedding, but it became a lesson. Guests leaned closer. His eyes locked onto Darius. A lesson in humility. A lesson in consequences. The whole murmured. Darius woke. He continued, "You tried to disgrace an innocent woman. You tried to parade your new life as if it justified the pain you caused her." Darius lowered his head. "But today, in front of the world, we saw something different. We didn't see Amara as a weak, silent woman you left. We saw a mother, a survivor, a woman who raised children alone while you chased shadows." The crowd cheered. Darius trembled. The governor wasn't finished. "As for these children," he looked at the twins, smiling warmly. "They are brilliant, polite, and strong. everything their mother taught them. They deserve more than a man who only wants them because he is embarrassed. Someone shouted, "Talk to him, sir." The governor's tone deepened. "The law will handle this matter. Child support, custody, everything." Darius panicked. "No, please, don't take them from me. You took yourself from them," the governor said sharply. "Actions have consequences." Darius collapsed again. The governor turned to Amara. "You won today, not because you fought, but because you stood." The whole clapped. The twins smiled proudly, and Darius, drowned in sorrow. The whole felt different now. People weren't celebrating a wedding. They were celebrating justice. Women hugged Amara. Men shook their heads at Darius. Bloggers called it the biggest wedding disaster in Nigerian history. Darius watched helplessly as Amara turned away from him. She lifted one twin into her arms while the other grabbed her hand. Governor Ezenwa stood beside her like a shield. She didn't look back. Not once. Not for pity. Not for nostalgia. Not even for revenge. She simply walked away, gracefully, quietly, beautifully, and that hurt Darius more than any insult could. Torella's parents ordered their security to escort Darius out of the hall. He was no longer welcome, no longer respected, no longer the groom. As he stumbled out, tears streaming down his face, the guests parted, staring at him with disgust. Someone whispered, "He thought he invited drama, but drama invited him." Outside, as Amara entered the governor's SUV, the twins waved at the crowd. The cameras captured it, a powerful image of a woman who survived a storm and walked out stronger. Darius collapsed on the pavement, screaming her name, but she didn't hear him. She was gone. The convoy drove off, with dignity, with power, with the truth, and Darius remained on the ground, alone, broken, and swallowed by the consequences he created with his own hands. By evening, the entire internet had erupted. Every major blog carried the scandal. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all flooded. Hashtags were everywhere. #wedding of disgrace. #governor and the ex. #Darius DNA. #Amara the queen. Clips from the wedding trended in every African country. A slow-motion video of Amara stepping out of the SUV went viral, captioned, "When the woman he tried to shame upgrades effortlessly." Another clip of the twins saying "mummy" said "we don't talk to strangers" received millions of views. Meanwhile, Darius' face, that moment he heard the DNA result, became the newest meme template. People edited his shocked face onto movie posters, album covers, even cartoons. Brands started tweeting jokes. A milk company tweeted, "Don't abandon what belongs to you." A bank tweeted, "Know your responsibility before it finds you." Darius was finished. At home, his phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Everyone calling him, friends, enemies, debtors, old classmates, even distant relatives. Some laughed at him. Some insulted him. Some asked him for money as a joke. His office sent him a message, "Please do not resume tomorrow. We need to discuss your conduct and the public scandal." Torella had blocked him everywhere. Her father sent him an official letter demanding damages for emotional distress and humiliation. Darius' mother cried nonstop, repeating, "I warned you, I warned you, I warned you." But the real pain came when Darius opened his front door and saw reporters, waiting, filming, asking, "Sir, why did you abandon your wife and unborn children?" "Sir, how do you feel about the governor taking your family?" "Sir, is it true you called your ex-wife poor and useless?" Darius slammed the door and slid to the floor. For the first time in his life, he understood true shame and true loss. While Darius drowned in the scandal he created, Amara's life took a shocking turn for the better. The governor invited her and the twins to the government residence for dinner. Not for publicity, but for protection. "A lot of attention will come your way," he said gently. "I don't want you overwhelmed." Amara felt safe for the first time in years. The twins were excited, running around the mansion with joy. Bloggers tried to follow them, but the governor's security shut them out. That night, Amara sat with Governor Ezenwa on the balcony. For the first time, she let her guard down. She told him everything: the marriage, the insults, the abandonment, the pregnancy, the fear, the pain of raising twins alone. He listened with full attention, like her story mattered, because it did. When she finished, he sighed deeply. "You deserve better than him," he said. "You deserve better still." She looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean your children deserve stability. And so do you. You are a good woman, Amara. Too good to be hidden. Too good to be trampled." A silence stretched between them, warm, calm, meaningful. The governor stood and offered her a document. "I want to sponsor your graduate program," he said, "and I want to move you and the twins into a safer home, one with proper security, privacy, and opportunities." Her eyes filled with tears. "Why? Why would you do all this for me?" He smiled. "Because when I had nothing, not even breath, you saved me. Now let me save you from ever suffering again." That night, for the first time in years, Amara slept peacefully. Broken, desperate, jobless, humiliated, Darius reached rock bottom. But the pain of losing status wasn't as deep as the pain of losing his children. His sons, his own blood. The next morning he did something unthinkable. He traveled to Port Harcourt. He stood in front of Amara's old apartment, hoping she'd return. But she was no longer there. Neighbors mocked him. "You Dave find who? The woman you abandoned. Ogre, she done upgrade Tried government house." They laughed at him until he left in shame. He went to the governor's office and begged receptionists to let him in. Security shoved him back out. "You will not harass madam and her children again." "Sir, please, I beg you," he cried. "They are my sons." Reporters captured him crying outside the gate. The video went viral instantly. Bloggers captioned it, "When karma finally collects its balance." At night, he sat outside the government residence gate, hoping Amara would come out. He waited in the cold, and waited, and waited, but she didn't come. Only one person came out, the governor. Darius jumped to his feet. "Please, sir, let me talk to Amara. Let me see my children." The governor's expression was unreadable. "You had 2 years to check on her," he said. 2 years to be a father." "I didn't know." "You didn't want to know," the governor snapped. "And now you want access because the world shamed you. Parenting is not a reaction. It is a responsibility." Darius fell to his knees. "Please, I will do anything." The governor's tone turned icy. "You will go to court. Properly, legally, respectfully. You will accept whatever the law decides." Then he turned and walked back inside. The gates closed. Darius remained outside, crying, for the first time in his life, truly realizing the weight of what he had done. 3 weeks later, the court hearing began. It was the most widely publicized family case of the year. Amara arrived with the governor's legal team, the best in the country. Darius arrived alone, exhausted, pale, thin, looking like a man aged by regret. The judge listened to both sides. When it was Darius' turn, he cried openly. "I want to be in my sons' lives. I want to make things right." The judge looked at him quietly. "You abandoned their mother during pregnancy," she said. "You never checked on her. You never contacted her. You planned to humiliate her publicly. Do you understand the gravity?" Darius sobbed harder. "I am sorry." "Sorry does not undo trauma," the judge replied. Then she turned to Amara. "Do you want him in their lives?" The entire courtroom held its breath. Amara took a deep breath. "I don't want revenge," she said softly, "but I want peace, and I want safety for my children." The judge nodded. "Then here's the ruling. Full custody goes to the mother. The father will have supervised visitation once a month. IF and only IF the children are comfortable. The father is ordered to pay child support, and the father must attend counseling." Chairs creaked. People gasped. It was over. Darius broke down in loud, sorrowful sobs. He searched for Amara's eyes, but she didn't look at him. The twins held her hands, smiling innocently. The judge closed the file. The case was done. But Darius' punishment was not cruelty. It was consequence. Months passed. Amara moved into a secure, beautiful new home. She enrolled in a graduate program. She became a voice for single mothers online. Brands reached out for partnerships. She appeared on talk shows. The twins thrived, confident, strong, brilliant. Darius slowly rebuilt himself through counseling. Once a month, he saw the twins under supervision. The first time they hugged him willingly, he cried for hours afterward. He apologized every session, not to win favor, but because he finally understood. Meanwhile, Governor Esm remained in her life, supportive, present, protective. But he never crossed boundaries. Until one special evening, he invited her to dinner at a quiet garden restaurant. There, with lanterns glowing and gentle music playing, he spoke softly. Amara, these last months, I've admired your strength, your growth, your heart. She felt her breath catch. I don't want to replace anyone, he continued. I don't want to rush you. But I would like to build something real. With you, with your sons, if you're willing. Tears filled her eyes. After everything, why me? He smiled. Because you walked through fire and came out glowing. She exhaled shakily. Yes, she whispered. I'm willing. He reached for her hand gently, respectfully, and the twins, sitting nearby with ice cream, started cheering loudly. Mummy said yes. Mummy said yes. The governor laughed. Amara laughed. Happiness wrapped around her like warm sunlight. Not revenge, not drama, not loud triumph, but peace, real peace. The kind that comes when a woman finally chooses herself, and life chooses her back. And somewhere in the city, Darius watched from afar, accepting that he lost a good woman, and grateful that she found the happiness he couldn't give her. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is a life rebuilt, beautifully,